just getting some drag race tea. So I don't know if I really want to talk about RuPaul's Drag because Snatch Game was a hot ass mess. I did not like it. I didn't really care for it. We all knew Ginger Davis was going to win because that, Snatch Game was tailor made for her. She never did her big one. Although I will say this, with the bracket sort of thing, it was hard to enjoy Ginger's success because of the way production played the little snake game regarding the third bracket. So that kind of irritated me, the way they played that up. So, with that being said, it was, I just didn't care. But and one of the other things that I definitely liked, Mistress was doing what she normally does, sitting up there being a damn bully and a shit stirrer. But at this point, girl is getting old, is getting tired, and I can't wait till next week because Aja, lights up that ass. And I was like, that's the one thing you don't want to do when it comes to us New York queens. Butch queens, trans girls, and femme queens, do not mess with us when it comes to you thinking that you big and bad and you're gonna try to come at us because our mouths are lethal. So Mistress is not ready for what Aja is gonna give her, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I already know the fans are gonna live for it because it's like, sis, you ended up in the bottom too. Your ass almost went home. And although I knew they was gonna pull that stunt with, okay, you're gonna have Cuckoo be in the bottom, and then y'all was gonna have her eliminated. Like I just sensed that y'all was gonna do that because a lot of people wanted, no shade. I thought Denali was gonna make it into, the third bracket, into the semifinals. But with Denali, I do feel like, and I don't know the spoiler on this part, so I'm just thinking out loud. I do feel like Denali is going to be the judge's choice because I definitely feel like she should be in there. And to me, everybody knows when you look at compared to all the other girls on the show, Denali is definitely that girl you want to see doing the lip sync smackdown for the crown because she is a performer through and through. So you definitely want to see her for entertainment purposes light up that damn stage. So that's what I'm pulling for, that the judges decides to pick. And speaking of Aja, I definitely enjoyed that moment where she got vulnerable and she was talking about, that point of when she quit drag. She was figuring out her trans identity and that whole tug of war that she had with doing drag and being trans and being homeless, almost being homeless, and the things that a lot of trans people have to endure. Like that's what I've always known trans girls to be dealing with, a lot of those fears and a lot of those things that have happened because me growing up in New York City, I've encountered many of people within our community who have had to deal with that. The whole thing of being seen as an other and trying to figure out your way through the world and your trans identity and that sort of thing, and juxtaposing it with, drag being the career and trans being the identity. Because a lot of people think that, all drag queens are, just boys in dresses. Well, there's some are, but not everybody has that whole situation. So everybody's situation is different. So I did love that moment of Aja being vulnerable. Now, when Mistress was trying to be vulnerable about her weight, and we're gonna get into that in the next situation. The girl, y'all was cackling because y'all was just not taking her serious, which I did laugh at that. But now, after all this, the most interesting part of it all was the fact that Raven was crowned the winner. I had somebody in my comments like, well, did Rue actually say that? Did Rue actually make her? I said, okay, let's not be obtuse. Number one, you clearly knew from the video because especially everything that Tyra Sanchez has been doing in the media as of late, especially going after the Vivian after she passed, going after Jiggly after she passed, going and all the little and then allegedly talking about doing unspeakable things at DragCon. When you're on YouTube, you're gonna watch certain words you say, otherwise it demonetizes you. So I gotta be careful with certain. So I gotta be creative in how I word things. But yes, I was like, it was a play in a situation, but we all know what that meant. Like, yes, she was crowned. They were like, you're crowned the winner, but she was literally crowned and dethroned from the whole Tyra thing. So it was a play on that. So yeah, that was all I wanted to say on the whole drag race situation because I was like, I don't want to do a recap of the recent episode. It was crunchy. I mean, it was great to see Sarah Michelle Gellar there again, but it was a chop if you really think about it. But I wasn't surprised because y'all had a lot of season 14 queens there, and their season was a chop doing Snatch Game, so I wasn't surprised. And I don't know what a hooky tookie wookie mookie blookie. I don't know who that was, or you had Mistress doing Natalie Nunn. Girl, you should have did Mama Fratelli from the Goonies. That's what you should have did. Because that would have been more up your alley in regards to who you should have played. Now, they said, yeah, so for those of you who are probably aware or not, Raja and Raven were, Fashion Photo Review co-stars, were celebrity guests on during the Snatch Game Challenge. Now, a number of the queens, namely Ginger Minj, playing Reba McEntire, and Georges as Pitbull, got RuPaul cackling, while Cynthia Lee Fontaine played Dracula and Mistress Isabel Brooks played Natalie Nunn, failed to impress and landed them in the bottom. Yet one of the moments that seems to have sent a Drag Race fandom over the edge has nothing to do with competing queens at all. Now, as the Snatch Game wrapped up, RuPaul declared that the winner of the challenge was actually guest star Raven. While it's fairly standard RuPaul's practice to crown someone who isn't actually competing in the Snatch Game as the winner of the challenge, crowning Raven just hits different for the Drag Race fandom. For the uninitiated, if there's any of you literally here, but I think those of you who are watching this are pretty much Drag Race connoisseurs. Raven has missed out on a Drag Race crown twice. Once to King Tyra, formerly known as Tyra Sanchez, during season 2, and then, against Chad Michaels in the inaugural All-Star season in 2012. Which is not a good season, by the way, but we all live for Chad winning. Now, both times the results have been contentious, with many Drag Race fans believing Raven, who has since become RuPaul's makeup artist, is deserving of a season win. Now, in recent years, fans have begun begging Ru to strip Tyra of their crown and give it to Raven, owing to the former being embroiled in a string of controversies. Tyra's been arrested, as y'all know, on numerous occasions in recent years, most recently in 2023, when she was apprehended for hosting a protest against a previous arrest while brandishing a dildo. The protest caused a traffic jam. Now, in January, following the death of fellow Drag Race winner The Vivienne, Tyra posted offensive messages about her passing on social media and was widely criticized by fellow Drag Race stars. And also, like I said, she did the same thing with Jiggly in April. And Ru officially appeared to respond to the post, sharing a video of herself slapping Tyra as part of a skit featured in season 2. While it seems unlikely that RuPaul is officially passing the crown over to Raven, the fandom appears to be taking it that way regardless. So yeah, they're playing it up where it was like, yeah, and production knew what they were doing. They were playing it up with that whole thing because they know what the fandom has been saying. They keep their ears to the street. Trust and believe, anything with RuPaul drag, y'all on Twitter, they're on Reddit, they're watching a lot of us pundits who be sitting up in here talking about Drag Race. They be keeping their ears to the street, so they know. And so while it is a play on the whole situation, I see what the fandom is doing, and y'all eating it up. To be honest, Raven is already winning. Raven's doing things with World of Wonder. Raven gets to pop up on Drag Race All Stars, and other Drag Race iterations. She's also Ru's makeup artist, so she's making a pretty coin doing that. Excuse me. Doesn't she also have a makeup show? So Raven doesn't need the win. She's already winning. So while Tyra, you can't erase history. We know Tyra's problematic. We know Tyra's a hot mess. We know Tyra's a troublemaker. And yeah. So at the end of the day, Raven's doing her big one. Now, before we get off of this topic, I do want to play y'all this clip of Cuckoo over there on I think it was during the Q&A. Somebody got slick and recorded it. At Roscoe's, where Cuckoo was there alongside, wait, who else was there? Oh, Lydia Butthole Collins. So it was those two. They were at Roscoe's viewing party, and they asked them how long did it take for them to film the season of the third bracket, or all the brackets versus the semifinals. Because when we saw the semifinals, everybody looked different. Denali hair was longer, which has a lot of people thinking that she actually, because if you really pay attention to certain clips where her doing the confessionals, her hair is longer in certain shots, which makes people think that she did shoot a lot of pickups from her confessional with the third bracket, and also she does make it to the into the semifinals because people was noticing the length of her hair change. So I do have that clip that we're gonna play of Cuckoo talking about how long it took them to film. I don't even know if she's supposed to reveal it, but we love when y'all break through the NDA and start spilling tea. But if you listen to Drala Chachki, which we're not doing, apparently Roscoe's ruins careers. But I guess she'd rather them go on her tight ass show so good. But anyway, let's play the clip and then we'll come back and talk. Please hold.
Brian in Orlando, and they would like to know how long was the time frame between the end of your first round and the start of the semifinals filming, because they find it very, very wild how people look so different
in the confessionals. Yeah.
It was a minute, right? I don't remember how long. How it was like.
I do. Can I? So July 26th. It was the last day of filming.
We never get
there. Bracket number 3.
I live.
July 26, 2024. And then April 2025, we filmed semifinals. So that's why the girls
9 months?
are looking.
8 or 9 months?
Yeah.
Someone to the math.
Nine.
Listen, I know you're looking at me that way because of that reveal. I know. But Wyoming on Sempig, this is me.
She said Wyoming. You meant Wagovi.
I live.
Baby, I know my states of United States. Happy 4th of July.
I live.
Why do we think they gave him so much time?
I don't know, but I do know that.
So let me tell you, sorry.
Yeah, you tell me everything.
So
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Cynthia.
Patreon, Roscoe's, you better follow, bitches.
VIP.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the first time they're doing this format. So they, structured this way in order that everything was fine. But of course, they didn't knew a lot of the girls were into the medications for losing weight. And even they sent us an email saying like, you guys are going to wear the same confessional looks as last year, 2024. And we were like, no. A lot of us, we lost weight. Even myself, I lost 28 pounds. Not Ozempic. I mean, no shade to everybody that use any medication. Congratulations.
Right.
If you want to live healthy, okay. But it was me not eating because I was nervous.
Yeah.
But that's why. And now, future formats, they are trying to do everything in 2 months.
Also,
This comes from Brian in Orlando.
Child. Shout out to Cuckoo because she was not exempt. Look, she was out here spilling all the tea. Because, according to Mentress, she did it with diet and exercise. But I don't know how you lose 200 pounds in 9 months from just straight up hitting the gym. Girl, you had some help. But we're going to get into that story in a second when we get around to that. But I just want to play our clip so that way y'all know how long it took for them to film the brackets according to, the bracket to the semifinals, according to Cuckoo, was up in here spilling all the tea and even reading the girls for, getting a little boost before they actually started going to the gym to maintain, taking the medications for that weight to slide off of them, like meat off a bone. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the recent episode of Drag Race All-Stars and the recent revelation that we just got from Cynthia Lee Fontaine, aka Miss Cuckoo herself, spilling all the tea about how long it took for them to film the bracket to the semifinals? Whatever your thoughts. I mean, we all knew that they filmed the All-Stars around April because that was around the time when All-Stars was still on, not All-Stars, season 17 was on, and they filmed, and also around that time they was filming, or maybe it might have been March going into April. I don't remember the exact date, but yeah, they filmed the who was it, the lip syncs, Lollapalooza, and they also filmed the finale around that time. Like towards the, when it got down to right. So it took months for them to, they took a long period to film those things. They didn't do it like right away. They stopped production and then filmed all that stuff late, which I actually like the idea that they did that. Same thing with this show. And I like the fact, now I wonder if they're going to put in the contract, don't y'all be out here losing no damn weight. I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm going to have to stay unhealthy for 9 months so that way y'all can have continuity with the show. It is what it is. You just going to have to kick you have to kick and kiss my ass if you thinking I'm going to just sit up here and be 400 pounds with a kidney heel and waiting months because y'all need to do the show and keep it within like, ain't nobody got time for that. It is gonna. I mean, you can still kind of play it off because it was like between the week, that long period of them together, you didn't really see them. So y'all can play it up a little bit where they did that, but we don't know how to look. TV is not real. Like feelings is not facts, as Mama Ru likes to say. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? So let me know what your overall thoughts are on this in the comments down below.